going on, traders? Happy Monday. I hope you guys all had a good weekend, but as usual, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know exactly how my day trading went today, so let's jump right into it. And as you guys can see, it was a green day overall for my account, right? And in terms of how I did day trading wise, I was up on SQs $141, and on TQs I also traded that today, right? I was up $74 on the day. So I finished up $215 on the day, but although it was, green, I wasn't able to actually hit my daily goal of 1%. So that's something I'm going to, try to work towards too heading into tomorrow. And as you guys can see, these were all my filled orders, right? You guys can see I started trading right at market open at 6:30, and I didn't stop trading right today until 9:12, right? Was the last position I had, and that's when I fully cut it there. So, traded for a little over 2.5 hours today. And green is green, so I can't complain there. And I'm gonna go ahead and walk through with you guys exactly how I was able to make my money today, right? So as far as what I was looking at the Nasdaq future, right? And what I noticed was pre-market, it was indicating signs of a sell-off, right? Trading between the middle and the bottom VWAP, right? And so it was pretty much just consolidating, trading sideways. And we did start to sell off a little bit, closer to market open. But once 6:30 did hit, what did I see going on? Well, the market ended up actually shooting up, right? And I started to get into SQQQ around these levels here. And the reason why is I, saw that there was a potential resistance area that it had during the pre-market session around these general areas. And so once it approached these areas, it made sense to me why it could potentially, get rejected yet again. And so as you guys can see, it started to fall. I averaged in. And this thing ended up changing direction, right? And actually forming a new leg up here. So once it formed this, new leg up here and ended up becoming more overextended, by that time, right, it already hit up there. I was already selling out of my trade. So I profited, but then I gave back, lots of profit on the way back up. And the same thing ended up happening, right? It pushed up, became overextended, started to pull on back, and I'd get back into SQQQ thinking this was going to potentially be the time where we get rejected and trade all the way towards the bottom VWAP, but nope. As you guys can see, we got rejected, ended up bouncing, right? And same thing ended up happening until finally here is when we saw the sell-off that I was hoping for, right? So although it does suck, right, because I was a bit more aggressive on these pullbacks thinking we were going to see that sell-off, right? Ultimately, once it did push on up and start to sell off, I wasn't too eager to get in as aggressively anymore because of the fact that it was so choppy around this area. But ultimately, it did end up selling off, right? And I was able to make money on SQQQ. And here's where I made a big mistake. So once this thing ended up selling off a decent amount, I wanted to try predicting where TQQQ was going to bounce. So this actually led to me, digging myself in a bit of a hole. So once I saw this thing start to bounce, I fully sized in, thinking we were going to break above the EMA and, potentially start a trade towards the middle VWAP again. But that's not what ended up happening. This thing continued to sell off, and I just kept, trying to predict where the bottom was, and I kept getting burned. And so by the time this thing ended up selling off here, I was down everything on TQs that I made in profit on SQs. So I was down about $140 on TQs, right around this area, right? And once it did end up popping and breaking above EMA, that's when it was actually, more of a better time to buy in. It's still no true confirmation, but at least we are, breaking above the EMA, which we were struggling to do while it was selling off, right? Actively selling off. So once it did break above, what ended up happening, I got in aggressively. Once it started to pull on back, I sized down, and I was waiting for this play here, right? So I was waiting for this thing to, start to fall back and potentially, right? Doesn't mean it had to, but if it wanted to try to recover back to the middle VWAP, it would have potentially knocked on as low as it did last time, which check it did, right? It made a higher low here, so it didn't go as low. And then it did break above the EMA and start to trade it as a support rather than resistance, right? So once I saw it finally bounce and break above the EMA, that's when I fully sent it again. And I was able to lock in majority of my trade around these more overextended areas, right? So around these general areas, that's when I decided to call it. I already recovered everything I lost on TQs and was up about at $70, right, as you guys saw. And so that's where I decided to lock it in and be done there, right? So although I didn't hit my daily goal, there was still, a lot of money to be made. As you guys saw, this thing ended up pushing on back and then ended up having a nice run back up. So, you know, it was nice to see that. Congrats to any of you guys who were able to take advantage of that. But where do I think the Nasdaq is on the bigger time frame? In my personal opinion, right, I think that the Nasdaq is definitely more overbought at these levels. As you guys can see, right, typically around these general areas, it does tend to struggle. It'll kind of just trade sideways and consolidate, right, and it'll have these areas of resistance, right, and then areas of support like down here. And so now that we did break above this resistance, you know, we are just looking to see, is this area here now going to be the potential resistance, right? And is this previous resistance area going to become the new support area, right? So are we going to get rejected here and pull on back down to here? Well, we don't know yet, right? We just have to take it day by day and wait and see what ends up happening. But on the bigger time frames, right, as you guys can see, pretty much since January 6th, right? As you guys can see the date, it shows you it right over here as I scroll on over. Since January 6th, we've been on a really nice uptrend, right? So we had a really nice rally. We ended up pulling on back a bit and consolidating, and then what ended up happening? We broke the resistance we had, and now we're starting to rally again, right? But given the fact that we have been rallying nicely for quite some time now, it doesn't, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if we did start to correct ourselves a bit before we continue to climb, right? That would definitely make a lot of sense to me. And so that's definitely what I'm going to be looking out for. It doesn't mean it has to happen, right? This thing can continue to rally or it can, you know, completely change direction. But I'm just open to both sides, right? And I'm not going to be trying to bag hold either SQs or TQs. That's why we're day traders, right? We're going to take it day by day. And if we see an opportunity present itself, then we're going to try to take advantage of it, right? But that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover in today's video. Thank you guys so much for your time, for tuning back in and supporting us always. It really does mean a lot. If you guys have any questions at all stock related or want me to break down any stock or stock indicator, go ahead and drop a comment. I will be more than happy to do that. But otherwise, that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about in today's recap. Thank you guys so much. I hope you guys all have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you guys in tomorrow's recap. Take care.